Hi, Maria. So happy to have you on Cryptophobia. Welcome.
Hi, Ines. Thanks for inviting me.
I just want to hear an introduction about you, talk about how you got into blockchain and what's your story.
Sure. So everything started in 2018. I knew
Hmm.
about Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining, and everyone was talking about it. So later, I finished my university studies, and in 2020, I started working for an NFT project because I was already working as a digital illustrator for 7 years. So we started with the NFT project, and I see, oh, this is blockchain. I remember that. Remember Bitcoin? Okay. So it just matched.
Yeah.
So currently, I have a creative agency, and we help businesses in the Web3 space work on the brand awareness, graphic design, web design, and user experience.
Mm. Awesome. I think a lot of people can relate to this. You get into crypto, the first door is like basically Bitcoin trading and finance.
Exactly.
And then you realize there's so much behind that. There's the technology. So it's funny how you entered from the finance and then ended up with NFT projects working on the UX and design.
Yes, and there are a lot of use cases, so it's pretty interesting. I became more part of the Web3 space and the Web3 community because I also have a background in telecommunications engineering. So I really like everything related to IoT, Internet of Things. And there are some IoT projects that are working also with blockchain on the space
Mm.
of IOTA. So I went to some events and I just like everything. So it's like a perfect mix because it's creativity and technology at the same time.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good mix for sure. So, how did you start learning about blockchain then? Now you're in the NFT space and you're working on this project. Did you learn together in the team or did you have to learn all by yourself to understand the blockchain space a little bit better?
I had to learn by myself because, for example, on the NFT collection, we are working with different layers. So it's not just like doing the picture and that's it. We were working on different layers and they can intercept each other.
Mhm.
So I was like, why they need to intercept each other? Is this NFT generation, image picture generation? What is this?
Mm.
And what's the purpose of the NFT project? Because now I'm doing the 2DR, but what is the purpose of the project? So that was interesting. I started learning about blockchain with meetups and different online events. I went to some offline events, but I soon became aware that there are a lot of people that are just like selling themselves on offline events. So
Yeah,
I had to be
that's
aware
true.
of that. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. It's something I also noticed attending events. Some events are basically just hype.
exactly.
Yeah. And then the speakers, you don't see a lot of their experience when it comes to actually building in the space. So most of their experience is actually speaking. And then there's something off there because, you need to also build to a certain degree. So I totally relate to this. Okay, so now you are in this NFT space and you learned a little bit about blockchain and then you started working mainly with the Web3 X design. So if we dig deeper into your experience within that space, what do you think the challenges that Web3 right now has in terms of UX?
Okay, so we have different kind of problems because we have two types of users. The
Mm.
users that are already in the space and
Right.
they like decentralization and privacy and everything Web3 culture. And then we have the users that are outside of the space, but they hear like, oh yes, what is the new era of the internet or something similar.
Yeah.
So most of the users that are outside of the space, they don't care about privacy and they don't care about a lot of things, but they do care about utility. So we have serious utility problems in Web3 because there are a lot of projects that are not solving real problems right now. And in terms of UX, there are a lot of new ideas. For example, what is a wallet? What is the gas prices? There's a lot of security issues. For example, it's okay to just have one wallet, or do we need two, three, four wallets? I know
Mm.
people that have 6 wallets
10
because of,
wallets even. Yes, yes.
yes,
Oops.
exactly. So there's so much to talk about,
Yeah.
and your wallet is yours. But for example, if you are using Coinbase, then it's not exactly your keys,
Mm.
but people don't fully understand that. people in
Mhm.
this in the space understand it, but it's not just for everyone right now. So
Mhm.
we need to make the space for everyone. I mean, for the grandma in the house, she
Yes.
needs to do payments with crypto.
Right.
So that's the challenge.
So the challenge is to simplify it enough for non-users to become users and people who are not familiar with the space at all. I think that's one of the challenges definitely when it comes to Web3. When I entered the space, I was a total newbie and getting a MetaMask felt like such an experience because I'm like, oh my God, where is my seed phase gonna go? And I have to write it down on this piece of paper. I shouldn't have it anywhere online. And there's so much scam. And I got paid on my MetaMask. 3 days later, my wallet was drained out of everything. I
Mm.
still don't know to this day what happened. So user experience is an issue. I consider myself a techie in a way. So if it's difficult for me, I can also imagine it's difficult for non-techies as well. So how do you think we can go about this? Now we have two users. We have the users that are already familiar with this space. And then we have users who are not familiar with this space, are not even techie. You have also techie users and maybe
Exactly.
non-techie. So how can you calibrate for everyone when building a product when it comes to UX?
Okay, so there has been some improvements in the space. For example, talking about 2019, I was working with my Binance account, and I remember it got hacked, my Binance account.
YouTube? You had
Yeah,
a yes,
that's right. But it was in 2018. We
yes.
didn't have two-step verification process or
Right.
something similar. So
Mm,
it was pretty easy to do that. Also, for example, for Binance, when you were sending a transaction to another chain, you know that if you do a transaction to another chain and you are not using a bridge or something similar, you lose the money and the money is like nowhere.
mm,
Okay. So at that time, Binance didn't give you the alert that take care of this because you are sending a transaction to another chain. So be aware of that.
mm,
Today, Binance have this alert. So there have been some improvements, but we need to work more and more on UX.
yeah.
In terms of how to do it, there are a lot of frameworks. For example, we have Nielsen heuristics frameworks. So there are like 10 divisions or 10 steps to
Mhm,
work about user experience. So, for example, we need to improve the errors on the space.
mhm,
When we are doing a transaction with readable transactions, for example, when you are connecting your wallet to a platform or
mm,
a decentralized application,
mm,
you hit connect and there will be a pop-up of MetaMask, for example, and there will be a big button saying, oh yes, connect. But people doesn't understand what they are accepting.
that's true.
Because
That's true.
their wallet has their assets.
Mhm.
So you have your money there, you have your NFTs there.
NFT, yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the thing is that you don't know what are you accepting when you are hitting the connect thing. So that's the reason we lost our money because we didn't know what we were accepting.
Mm,
But this can be improved, improving user experience in for the wallets. But user experience is not just about the surface layer, so the graphics and where is the button and what is the message.
no.
It's also about why are we creating this product, what features the product really needs, and how are we making it so the user can understand the whole process. So it goes to the user flow.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. So when it comes to wallets, for example, if we dig deeper into the problems of wallets in Web3, I think wallets is a big one because it's the access, right? So if you explain for a beginner who's listening in now, what is a wallet and how do you create an account and what are the problems of creating accounts today? Because as I understand, it's like for Web2 people who are listening in, having an account on Google is similar to having an account on a wallet because you need that account to access all the different platforms in Web3. So it's like your email account, but also at the same time, your email account has your money and has your assets and NFTs and all the Web3 assets. So, yeah, what are the problems that you see right now when it comes to wallet more specifically? And what do you recommend beginners to look out for when choosing a wallet and creating an account for the first time?
Sure. So, for example, the current problems are just starting with by the keys.
Yeah.
So the management of crypto wallets and security keys is still a drag for many users. And it's like we were talking about cybersecurity. So you can have one wallet, but it's recommended to have two or three wallets. So you can have a hot wallet for your current transactions, a cold wallet for real storage your main assets. So the most important things you can store it on.
And a cold wallet is a hardware wallet, right? That's
Exactly.
like a ledger or something like that. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And you can have like a middle wallet that you can use for transactions or maybe for connected with different applications.
Mm,
So that's the thing. Now, talking about the keys of the wallet, there are already some ways to solve it because we have the ERC 4337. So it's an Ethereum contract. And it was a massive UX update for crypto wallets on Ethereum. But the
mm,
thing is that it has limited backward compatibility with other token standards.
mm,
So right now it's like just for Ethereum. And we need to see if the Ethereum community is willing to embrace it. Because
mm.
with ERC 4337, it's just you don't need to memorize or you don't need to fully write your keys
Right.
your seed,
That's
right?
that's great.
Yes, exactly. Because if you lose your keys, you lose everything.
Everything,
So
everything. And
exactly.
you can't keep it like on a cloud. If your email gets hacked, they have access to your key. And there are people right now accessing emails, going into the cloud, looking for these keys and to drain wallets. So this is a thing.
Yes, exactly. And also it's because we are talking about people's expectations. So Web3 is like an improvement of Web2.
Mm,
And Web2 is where we are right now.
right now.
So people that are outside of Web3
Mm,
and they hear, oh yes, Web3 is the evolution. And they come to Web3 and they see change their password. Their password mean their
yeah.
keys of the wallet. So that's the main problem. And also talking about wallets, we were talking about when you are connected to the wallet and the pop-up message comes. And it's
Mm,
also about the errors when we are doing some transactions because we can have different mistakes. For example, when we talking about transaction to different chain.
mm,
And what are the things that you need to see when searching for a new wallet? So right now, you need to check if they are compatible with different chains
mm,
or if they have a bridge. Because
mm,
if they have a bridge, it's just easier to do transactions from chain to chain. For example, between Binance Smart Chain and Ethereum chain. So there are different chains
mm.
and you can do in the
Transactions. MetaMask, if we take that as an example of a wallet, does it fulfill all the requirements of what a wallet should be?
No, actually, MetaMask is the most popular wallet, but they
Yeah.
just implemented an update, I think, this month where now you can see your NFTs on the extension of Chrome.
Mm.
So it's like we needed this 3 years ago, you know?
A bit too late. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So MetaMask is the most popular one because you can change your gas fees.
Mm,
Your gas fees is just the fees that you need to pay when you're doing a transaction.
mm,
So and that's the other thing. MetaMask still use Web3 jargon.
mm,
So we don't see fees, we see gas prices.
mm,
So people that are new to the space, they don't understand what are gas
mm,
prices.
mm,
So they need to educate themselves
mm,
before starting to work with their wallet. So that's the
mm.
main thing.
Okay. And what are other wallets out there that are competitors with MetaMask that you also recommend checking out?
For example, in terms of just the wallet, not the chain, but the
Yes.
wallet,
Yeah.
I really like Proton Chain wallet. It's
Mm,
called Web Out. So it's really easy to use.
mm,
And they also have like a similar system, but that's because of the chain, a similar system as Ethereum name services.
mm.
So you don't have to place a long address with like X, Y, 2, 3, 4. You
Yeah.
just have to type your name and the name of the user you are sending the transaction, and that's it.
Okay, good.
but that's because of the shame. But in terms of the wallet, I really like the World Club and also Phantom Wallet, for example. It
Mm.
says when you are doing a transaction or accepting something, it just tells you more information, but it's like easier for the user. So
Mm. Okay. I honestly use MetaMask, but I will check out the other wallets that you talk about. It's also good to check out what's out there. Whenever I talk about the space, I say I need to create a wallet. Everybody says just MetaMask. The first thing I hear is MetaMask. So it's nice to hear something else. I'll
yes,
definitely
because
check it.
it's the
Yeah.
popular one. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Then when we talk about X and user experience, it's also linked to branding and storytelling of the product. How do you see that evolving in the Web3 space?
Okay, so when we are talking about brand storytelling,
Mm,
brand storytelling is the act of using emotion and evoking narrative to connect your brand to customers. Okay,
mm,
so brands are already using that since long time ago. For
mm,
example, Coca-Cola. You can say that Coca-Cola is bad for health, but just look at their brand and it's like Coca-Cola is Christmas and Coca-Cola is happiness and it's family and it's family gathering. So that goes for branding. And
mm,
when we're talking about storytelling, just look at the bored apes. So they use storytelling in their brand.
mm, mm,
And most of the NFT collections that really were successful was because of storytelling. Do you remember the Goblin Town NFT collections, the free
mhm,
one?
mhm,
Yes. So the art was ugly, but the designer of the art was thinking we will have to do it ugly that way, but it was for the storytelling too,
mm,
because it was a free collection and it lacked of utility, but everything was about storytelling. So their Twitter account was like, oh yes, the story begins here. And their main website was also telling the story of the goblins.
mm,
So, and it was creating hype, but hype of the story.
mm,
So humans like stories. We were telling stories since the beginning of humanity. So that's the main thing.
mm, mm, mm.
Now, why storytelling? Because the purpose of that is more than customers build a tribe. Or right now that we are talking about Web3, it's like building a community.
Mm,
So it's just easier to build a community that way.
mm.
And once your audience know and trust you, they will more likely buy from you. So that's the main thing about branding and brand storytelling. It's
Yeah,
like creating relationships with people, but through stories.
exactly. And what are your main tips for telling a story when it comes to Web3 projects? It's the same, I guess, telling a story for Web2 or Web3 projects, but in Web3, it has also its uniqueness. In my experience, Web3 projects that have good branding, they understand the space and they understand that it's not so professional. So it's more on the cheesy side. You have Sushi Swap, for example. It's really also stands out. Like when you see a Web3 product, a Web3 native product, you see that the storytelling is much less formal, much more flexible, much more authentic, and sometimes even silly. But that really helps the Web3 projects, in my opinion, stand out because they're going away from the Web2 mentality of everything has to be formal and everything has to be official and very serious. So, what are your recommendations for storytelling in Web3?
So when we're talking about branding, more than brand storytelling, just branding,
Mm,
we need to really have a clear mission, vision, purpose,
mm,
because you can build your values and objectives between that mission and vision. So
mm,
when you are talking with your community, you need like-minded people that are towards that objective too. So it's just easier. It's like building a tribe.
mm.
So
It is,
your
yes.
community will have the same values of your brand.
Mm,
And that's the main thing. That's the way you can expand your brand because in Web3, expanding your brand is expanding your community. That's the
mhm,
main thing.
mhm,
So because Web3 is about giving back the power to the community. So
mhm.
now your brand is not your brand, it's the community's brand.
And do you think AI will help with branding, storytelling, or UX design in any way when it comes to automating some parts? The creative process is very tough, but in the brainstorming phase, using AI can help a lot, give you templates, examples that you can build on top of. Have you been using AI at all in your work? And do you recommend using AI, the tool to help?
Yes, so AI will help in terms of user experience and not
Mm,
user experience just about talking about Web3, but
mm,
all
mm,
all user
mm.
experience. Like we are talking about different brands right now working
Yeah,
with AI because
yeah.
of that. Just because it's just like now small businesses can use AI to build example to talk with their customers. So that's a thing. And in terms of design, I have used an AI. For example, you can have you used it Midjourney?
Yes, yes. I've tried Midjourney and OpenAI stuff. It's really cool.
Yes. So now with Midjourney, you can have different reference pictures that you can use for building a website, and small businesses can use that. And you don't need a professional photographer, for example, to
Mm,
making a picture for that.
mm,
Big brands will still work with photographers and designers, but it's like making the barrier lower, so lowering the barrier.
mm.
So that's the thing about AI. I know that people have a lot of fear about AI because it's replacing jobs, but
Yeah.
it will replace jobs, it will create jobs. But the most important thing is that it will create more opportunities.
Mm,
So now we are more productive, and it will let us try new things and
mm,
experiment new things.
mm,
Just talking about AI that is doing 3D work, for example, it
mm.
will be just easier to make a metaverse. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. People are scared that AI will replace jobs. I think in some sense for, low level, but mostly I think people who are using AI are going to replace people who can't use AI. Because
Exactly.
yeah, so because in the future you want to automate and you want to work efficiently. And if you are using and leveraging AI to work in a more efficient way, and maybe a design that would take you 2 days would take you 1 day, and then another person who is not using AI, not leveraging this skill, will be left out of the market and it will lose the competitive advantage that AI designers will have. So, do you think in the future, a lot more designers and a lot more companies will start using AI in their processes and in their work?
Yes, totally. And also talking about I think in talking about design, it's given us designers an opportunity to really talk about the real design, the real aspects of design.
Mm,
So it's about problem solving, and
mm,
it's about doing a lot of user research
mm,
and building user flows. So it's not just about making things pretty, it's about making things more usable, more user friendly.
mm,
So and it's not just about user experience design, it's just about graphic design and every type of design.
mm,
So it's just an opportunity to let us know what design is really about.
mm,
So
mm.
I like that part.
I'm curious. Do you use it also to get feedback on your designs? Does it work in that way?
No, I haven't, but I have to search about it. Now
Because
that you're talking about it, it was like, oh, that's awesome. I have to search.
yeah, because I've been using it to get feedback on some of my designs and some of my posts, even on LinkedIn. Like when I'm creating content, sometimes I get help to create the content and then I write the content in a different chat. And then I'm like, what do you think of this content? Give me three pros, three cons. And then it's useful to get some feedback, even if it's not a real person. I think it's still a valid feedback in some way that can help you. Or it's something you haven't thought about. You're like, oh, yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, that's really nice info. I have to try it out.
Yeah.
I have to try it. I have used it, for example, when I'm building a website.
Mhm.
The copy of the website, I can create the copy, but you can easily change with ChatGPT
Mm,
the copy of the website to match the brand voice.
mm,
So I can work the branding, so we get the brand identity, the brand colors, and everything, and the brand
mm,
voice
mm.
and the values. So now I can match the copy of the website with the brand voice and the values in
Perfect.
just like one click, you know.
Wow,
So
that's great.
ChatGPT help me with that, and it's amazing.
Awesome. I might ask you for help later when I'm creating the website for Cryptophobia. We have the branding. When people keep telling me, when are you going to create a website? When are you going to create a newsletter? When are you going to? I was like, guys, I need to slow down, One thing
That
at
that would be awesome.
yeah. So I'll definitely check with you how you do it and get your inputs. And let me know when you try the feedback thing if you liked it.
Yes, yes, that's right. I will tell
Yeah.
you.
Awesome. So usually also I ask my guests to talk about projects they're bullish on, things that you're working on, and also things in the space that you're very excited about that you think are taking the space into the right direction.
Just so right now I'm bullish on USDC and Polygon, talking about crypto and chains.
Yeah.
So I really like what Polygon is doing with their chain.
Mm.
And a lot of brands are using Polygon to
That's
build their
true. I
projects.
noticed.
And they are big brands like McDonald's and Starbucks. So it's
Mm.
interesting. I want to know what different integrations they will add. For example, in terms of the metaverse, like Gucci and Boss and other brands are getting into the metaverse. So, like buying new things, will they use Polygon or what chain are they going to use?
Mm.
I know that right now Arbitrum is pretty popular, but I haven't researched a lot about it yet. But just about the projects I'm currently working on. Right now, I'm working on a solar energy project that is using blockchain to
No.
calculate carbon credits.
No.
I can't talk too much about it because I have an NDA,
Right.
but
Okay.
I've been watching a lot of projects and they are amazing use cases working on. So I
Mm.
really like it.
Mm.
And I'm also working for a Gamify project. So
Mm.
it's a game.
Mm.
I really don't like play to earn games because I'm a gamer. I consider myself a gamer and I really
Nice.
like games.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think games needs to be enjoyable and silly and funny and just nice to play.
Yeah, of course.
Um,
Yeah. I understand.
most play to earn games haven't achieved that,
Mm.
but the gamify space is pretty
Mm.
big. So
Mm.
it's just improving every day. So let's see how it works.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited also to see the play turn evolving from where it is right now. When it comes to things that you're phobic about, that you're thinking in this space that we need to be careful, we need to be aware of certain things that can go wrong. I think every innovation when it comes to AI as well, we can talk about coded bias. When you're designing, you also have to take into account that AI is biased and you want to have your product as inclusive as possible. So you have to take into account, even when using AI tools, that these tools are biased. We need to adjust for that. And in the blockchain space as well, we have a lot of issues that we can work on to improve the space. So I also love to take my guests' opinion on what they're phobic about when it comes to crypto space, but also in general. You can talk about technology or whatever you're phobic about right now. I'm happy to hear.
Sure. So I think I'm phobic about trading, like crypto trading,
Yes,
but
yes.
that's because I used to do forex
Mm,
and it's not for me. I hate it.
yeah,
Just
I
it's
understand.
forex and I hate it. So crypto trading is more volatile. So I hate it more.
I totally get it. Yes, yes.
Yes, for example, when we are talking about learning more about Web3,
Mm,
I usually suggest people to join a community, but avoid trading communities because they talk a lot about hype and speculative things. So you need to really search and really have like a critical thinking when you're joining
yeah.
a trading community.
Mhm.
So right now we are in a bearish market. So most of the projects I have seen are really building in the space.
Mm,
That's mainly because I'm more in LinkedIn platform. So
mm,
that's the thing. But a lot of projects that were just looking for money just right now are outside the space.
mm.
But we still need to be aware of that.
Of
So
course.
everything that just looks too pretty to be true is not true.
Yeah, totally. If it's too good to be true, it's probably not true. So
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes. So trust your gut, I think.
Trust your gut. Exactly, exactly. Well, that's been amazing. I really enjoyed the conversation. I see now that we're coming to an end as well. So, if you have any final remarks that you would like to talk about, where people can find you, reach out to you, and yeah, basically anything you have to say before we close.
Sure, sure. So first, thank you a lot for having me here. I really like this discussion. So yes, you can find me on LinkedIn, Maria G. Salcedo,
Mhm,
or my website,
mhm,
mgsalcedo.com.
mhm.
I don't use Twitter too much because I think it's full of noise right now. So
Totally. I'm also slowing down on the Twitter situation. It's getting out of control. Yeah.
yes, but I post daily content on LinkedIn, so you
Mhm,
can find me on LinkedIn. And I own a creative agency, as I said earlier, so we can work with your Web3 project in
mhm.
terms of graphic design, user experience, web design, and through the art because we also do digital illustrations. So yeah, I think that's it. And
Yeah.
again, thanks a lot for having me here.
Yeah, thank you so much. And welcome to the Cheetah family. Together, we're moving from a space full of cheaters to a space full of cheetahs. And when you talked about what you're phobic about, that was so perfect. Like, we're phobic about the scams and all the trading stuff. Like, we need to move into adding value, adding utility, and becoming cheetahs, right?
That's
So-
right.
yeah, so yeah, welcome to the Cheetah family, and I'm super happy to have you here. And please, whoever is listening, check out Maria's content. I follow her. I always learn a lot about UX and design. So please go check her out, follow her on LinkedIn. And if you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you for listening.